Hi guys, it's Jordan from B&P Campers. Just going to be doing a handover video on your Burstner motorhome. So what I'm going to do is 2003. It's an A530. Good timing for the ambulance to go past. So it's an A530 Burstner based on the Fiat Ducato chassis. So under the bonnet, over on the left hand side, we've got your engine battery over here, negative on this side, positive towards the back. You've got your brake fluid in this reservoir at the top, power steering fluid here at the front. Your engine oil gets topped up through this little cover just here, and you've got your engine oil dipstick just down here with a red top. You've also got a little cover just here and here, both covering up sort of some fuses and relays and things like that, so that's all Fiat related stuff. You've got your engine coolant in this reservoir at the top. Air filter sits inside this one over here, and you've got your washer fluid reservoir down here at the front there as well. So that is about it for under the bonnet, not really much to explain other than that. To get to your fuel filling point, you've got to push on the left hand side of this little thing here, and that will then reveal the diesel filling point just there. Inside the passenger door, there's not much to show you in here. You've got a couple of fuses and relays behind this little cover just here, and some additional fittings for your refillable gas that you've got on this particular van. So basically every country that you go to will have a slightly different filling point. The one that's on it at the moment from standard is the UK one, obviously. So you'll be able to fill up in the UK from that point just there, but if you go anywhere else you will need the slightly different adapters which are inside here. So just behind the passenger door we've got your freshwater filling point. So if you wanted to fill up your fresh tank, you got to do that from just there. Next thing we get to is our refillable gas bottles. So these are Gaslow gas bottles, and basically if I just sort of get down here so I can show you properly, essentially what you've got is you've got two valves. You've got one on the top of this bottle here and another one on the top of this bottle here. Now basically they are just your isolators for the gas system. So if you wanted to isolate the gas completely, you would have to go anti-clockwise. Ignore me. If you wanted to turn the bottles off, you go clockwise all the way around to the right, okay, until it stops. And if you want to turn them on, you go anti-clockwise all the way around to the left so that they go up. So that is your sort of main isolators for the gas. When you turn the bottles off from inside this cupboard outside, it isolates the gas from everything inside as well. So this is the best place to isolate the gas from, is on the outside in the actual locker itself. When you turn the gas bottles on, you will see a little gauge come on here, and it'll come up green like that, and basically that's just telling you that the gas is going in to the regulator, and so you've got gas in the bottles basically. You've got a little bit on the back of the regulator here, the little yellow valve. You don't have to do anything with that because that's just for our testing purposes. Just isolates the gas coming from the bottles. And then you've got one more pipe, this one just here, which comes over the top and goes into this right hand side bottle. Now that pipe there goes directly to your filling point just there, and so that is where the cable comes through, or the pipe comes through, sorry, from the filling point. And you know, you haven't got to do anything with this pipe. I'm just letting you know that that's where the filling point hose goes into. So make sure that you isolate the gas before you start driving. That's really important. That's sort of number one rule really, because the last thing you want in the event of a crash is 30 millibars of propane pumping into the van somewhere. So that is a very important thing to do. Isolate the gas before you leave. Right, so as I said, you've got your gas filling point. This is your LPG filling point. So any petrol station, normally the ones on the motorways really, but they'll be the ones that have the LPG filling points at the petrol stations. Next one over is our electric hookup point. So if you do have access to the electric hookup, it's really handy to have that plugged in, because it essentially means that you don't have to worry about your leisure battery voltage. The battery charger will be on. And it also means that you won't have to, you'll have access to any of your mains powered appliances. When you haven't got this hookup cable plugged in, you can't use any of the 3-point sort of household sockets. because it needs this power here to be plugged in order to use those. Next thing at the back is your boiler vent. So if you have got the boiler lit up on gas, you will feel warm air pumping out through the bottom of this. So that's a way of double checking that the boiler is definitely working properly. We've then got at the back, we've got a nice tall locker, goes all the way to the top there, as you can see. And this is essentially just a storage locker. So you can use this for whatever you like. You've got a little bit of access to one of the tanks just there. I believe that's the waste tank. And you've also got a solar controller here. So you have actually got a solar panel on the roof. And that is basically, you haven't got to do anything with that. You literally just leave that as it is. But yeah, that's your solar controller inside there. At the back of the van, you've got your 2-bike rack and your access to, I think your spare wheel has access inside this little bit down here at the bottom. I didn't do the hab check on this particular van, so I'm kind of learning as I go as well. This locker just here is our toilet cassette. So when we remove the toilet cassette by lifting up on the little yellow tab down here, once you've got it to this point here, you'll be able to take the cassette all the way out. So basically, all you need to know from there is that you twist this little bit here and take the yellow cap off to drain it out. And when you're physically draining it out, you should hold down the little yellow button there at the back. So that's the idea behind that. That's how you would drain that out. When you have finished draining it out and you want to put the cassette back in, you need to make sure that you put a little bit of your blue fluid back inside here before you push this cassette all the way back in. So the blue fluid can go back inside there. And when you take this cap off, you'll notice there's actually like a measuring gauge. So you can actually just fill this up to the top, the cap, pour it in, and then put the cap back on. That just gives you a rough idea of how much you need to be putting back in. Not much else to show you inside there. So on the off side of the van, there's not actually a huge amount to show you, to be honest. But essentially, you've got these two vents just here. These are both to do with the fridge. So if you have got the fridge lit up on gas, you should feel a little bit of warm air coming out through this top right-hand side of this vent here. So that is a way of just sort of double checking that your fridge is definitely working. A lot like the boiler, you can just put your hand over there and just double check. You've also got the full size wind out Omni-Store awning up there as well. So you know, if you want to use that, you've got a winder on the near side of this awning just here, or basically towards the back. And you can wind that out. It'll come out really, really nice and far, and you'll have a couple of legs that will drop down from that to allow you to secure it to the floor. So I will, first of all, before I jump into the actual back end of the van, I will jump into the cab and I'll show you through the cab here. So got a fairly nice spec in here, actually, to be fair, for the age of the vehicle. You've got a few things that you wouldn't normally have as standard. So on the actual driver's door itself, you have got your electric adjusting mirrors from that little dial just there. You've got your electric windows. That is a standard thing, to be fair. You have got reversing camera from this little screen just here. You can turn that on and off just by that little switch down there. You've got the 5-speed manual gearbox, which is pretty self-explanatory. Reverse is lift up on the back just here, over and up to the top left-hand side. You've got a pretty standard little single DIN head unit just there. Nothing particularly interesting about that, to be honest. But you have got your air conditioning switch from just down here. So that's that little one there. So you can turn the air conditioning on and off from there. And now that, at this age of vehicle, when these were coming out, the air conditioning was not a standard thing. So that would have been a nice optional extra to have back in those days. The hazard warning lights from there, fog lamp, and then the rest of it is all just your sort of standard heater controls, which I very rarely actually explain because it's so self-explanatory and easy. So yeah, that is the sort of the basics of the cab. On the actual dash itself, you've got the screen up here. Got your temperature gauge, speed, revs, and your fuel gauge. So that's about it really for the cab. Not really much else I can explain from that. What I'll do is I'll just spin around So you have got the access through there, so you can actually obviously get into the cab from inside the vehicle, which is always nice. A couple of things that the customer has picked up on, which we've sorted. So we've put the proper ladder points on there, and a proper ladder as well. The old one was a little bit naff, to be honest. So you've got the ladder points on there. You've got a radio inside here as well, which I don't know if that's hooked up at all. I'm not sure. As I said, I didn't do the actual hab check on this particular van, so I'm kind of working these things out with you as well. So, the other big thing was the oven here. So there wasn't an oven in here at all before. So what we've had to do is take the sort of cupboard area out here, fit the oven, and then build around it. So fingers crossed, the customer will be happy with that. I think it looks pretty good, to be honest. It doesn't look too out of place, I don't think. These particular vehicles didn't seem like they actually came with an oven, so there was no place for it. There was no oven in here before, and the customer wanted an oven, so we fitted that for them. So, first things first, we've got above the door, we've got your main sort of control panel area, okay? So this is a typical Burstner control panel, and these are so simple to use. So you've essentially got, on the right-hand side of the control panel here, we've got the electronics area. So we've got a main switch on the right-hand side, which will light up green when you have it turned on. When I switch it off, green light goes off, and you will also hear a little click down here from underneath the driver's seat. That's because that's where your power supply unit sits. So when you want to have your 12-volt power on, you press up, not down, so that you get your green light on. Once you've got your green light on, you should then be able to go around and turn on all of your lights, okay, and you'll be able to have power to the majority of 12-volt appliances. The one in the middle just here, that's not a switch, it's actually just a light. Now this will come on when you plug your electric hookup cable in, and essentially all it is telling you that the hookup is in and it is working, okay? The next one over is our water pump isolator. So when you have it down like that, it means that the water pump will not work when you turn the tap on and off. And when you turn it on, it means that your water pump will work when you turn the tap on and off. Simple as that. In the middle, you don't have to worry about those. To be honest, that's if you had the gauge there, then it would work. But I don't think you've actually got the gauge fitted on this one. It's just an optional thing. On the left-hand side, we've got our gauges. Okay, so essentially you've got a gauge at the top, which, as you can see, the bottom half of it is your fresh water level, and the top half is your battery level. So if I press up on the right hand button just here, we're looking at the bottom gauge, and it's telling us we've got half a tank of fresh water in the tank. If we press down, it will show us the wastewater, and we've got quarter. So you will have drains for those on the outside of the vehicle underneath, by the way, for the fresh and the waste. In the middle, again, that's not a button like the other side. It's not a button, it is just a light, and basically this will light up if your leisure battery goes really flat. Now I have noticed before I started the video, I had a little flick through, when you press up on here, normally it would show you the engine battery voltage, but that isn't working or isn't connected. So again, I don't know if that's maybe an optional thing, but it's not coming on at the moment. But you know, essentially, if you can start the vehicle up, you know, the engine battery is okay. But in this particular case, there's no way of checking the level up there on this gauge. But when you press down on this little switch just here and you look at the top scale, it's telling us that the leisure battery voltage is up there at 12.5 volts, which is a very good resting battery voltage. You can expect that when you put the electric hookup cable in, you can expect that leisure battery voltage to go up more closer to 14 volts, because that's the charger kicking in and giving you some proper power. So as I mentioned on the outside, just speaking of that, any of your 3-point sockets, and when I say 3-point sockets, I mean these ones here, like your normal sort of household sockets, they will not work at all unless you have the electric hookup plugged in. Okay, they're completely, you know, useless without the hookup plugged in. Any of the circular sockets like these ones here, these are 12-volt sockets, and they will work as soon as you turn your 12-volt power switch on. Okay. So next thing to do would probably be to show you the appliances. So you have got, in this particular vehicle, as I mentioned, we have fitted this oven. So the oven itself is what you might call new old stock. So it's never been used. All of this stuff is brand new. Just need to give it a little wipe out, but that's it. It's just new old stock. You will need an ignition of some sort to light any three of these up. Not three of these, I don't know what I'm talking about. I was looking at those when I said that. To light the oven up, you will have to have like a long reach lighter of some sort. But basically you just push in and round to the left to allow the gas to come through, and use your ignition at the same time. Now, in the little locker just here to the left, as you walk in, it's quite an important one. So you've got your gas isolators. So essentially, if I just tell you, I'll run you through which ones do what. So we've got the boiler, the 3-burner hob, the fridge, and the oven. So if you wanted to isolate the gas from any of those appliances like individually, then essentially you would just do it from in there. You just turn it 90 degrees so it's facing away from the pipe, and then it'll be isolated. So it's easy as that. Just thought I'd point that out to you. So that is the bits and pieces for inside the oven. I'll just leave those out there for a sec so I can wipe it out after the video. So your seating area here, you can pull this together in the middle to make a nice big bed. You have, of course, got your overcab bed there as well, with the ladder to go up to that. So appliances, you have got the sink and drainer just here. That's just self-explanatory again. You've literally just got left and right is hot to the left, cold is to the right, and your drain in the middle of there. 3-burner hob, much like the oven, you will need an ignition of some sort to light these up because they don't come with ignitions generally. So some sort of a long reach lighter would be handy in this particular case. But I say you've got top left, bottom left, and then right. Okay, that's your 3 valves for that. Now the other thing I tend to say on these is that you need to make sure that you allow the burners to cool down before you start trying to turn these off, to pull the lid down, sorry. So, you know, if you've been using one of these for half an hour or so to do some cooking, don't just put the glass lid straight down as soon as you've, you know, turned that gas off. So just a little important thing to remember, you will find that if you put the glass lid down either on the burner itself, as in when it's on, or just after you've turned it off, you'll probably find that this will shatter because it gets too hot underneath and cold on top. The fridge is just underneath here. Now this is a Thetford 3-way fridge. So you've got, essentially what it means is you've got 3 different options to get the fridge cold. So you've got, as you can probably just about see here, you've got gas, you've got 12 volt, and you've got mains electric. Okay, so that's those 3 options. Now at the moment, I haven't got the hookup plugged in, and I haven't got the engine running, so I can't use either of these electric options because the electric hookup one there is when your hookup's plugged in, and the 12 volt one there is literally only for when the engine is physically running. Okay, so the only option that I've got at the moment is to use it on the gas. So as you can see, when I press and hold on this button here, you'll find that the options here will start flashing. Now I can basically just scroll through these 3 different options now. So because I need to use it on the gas, I'll select the gas one there, I'm hovering over it now, and I'll press this button again. It will then start flashing over here, which is our temperature gauge. So we can turn it up, press go, and then basically the fridge will light up on gas by itself. Okay, it's as easy as that to select the different options. If you have got the electric hookup plugged in, I would recommend using the electric hookup, and you would literally just do the same thing as you just see me do there for the gas. So press and hold on this button here, select which option you want to use, press it again, and then it will be on. The way that you have to use these fridges as well, as in with the 3 options, is that you actually have to get the fridge cold first before you leave. So what I mean by that is that the 12 volt option there, the little battery symbol that you've got, all it really does is it holds the temperature inside the fridge for when you're driving. So it doesn't really get the fridge cold by itself. So you need to make sure that you pre-cool the fridge either on a 240 volt electric or on the gas before you leave, and then switch over to the 12 volt option just for when you're on the go. When you get to your campsite or wherever you're going to, switch back to one of the other 2, And that's how you would generally use these motorhome fridges. All right, so pretty simple stuff. When you want to turn the fridge off, press and hold on this switch just here. And as long as you've got no light inside there, it means that the fridge is off. Behind us, we have got a couple of other things. So we've got the boiler and multi-vent switches. So, sorry, I'm just trying to get myself into a better position. So essentially, when you want to use the boiler, you have got the switch at the top just here. Now, this is so simple, and some people do tend to kind of like overcomplicate these systems. They are very simple. So if you just sort of copy what I do, if you want to use the heating by itself, so you don't want the hot water, you just want the heating, you would go once to the right, like so, and that is your heating only. Okay. You would also then, if you want to use the heating, turn your multi-vent on and off to get that air pumping through as well. Okay. If you want heating and hot water at the same time, you would go 2 down, like so, and then essentially you're going to have your heating and your hot water at the same time. All right, so that's your both at the same time to the bottom. Heating only is once down, back to the middle for off. Now, alternatively, if you want hot water only, you don't want the heating on, but you do want hot water, you go up 1 for 40 degrees, or up 2 for 60 degrees. And that is literally just the temperature of the water. And it's as simple as that. Some people do get these a little bit confused and sort of start, you know, getting mixed up with it, but it really is as simple as that. The little numbers with the squiggly lines next to them mean hot water, and the little gas symbol means heating. So easy as that. Shouldn't take too much getting used to. Right, so in the wardrobe just behind here, we've got a brown folder just here, which is basically all of your paperwork. All right, so loads of paperwork inside there for the vehicle, and you've also got your trip switches just there at the back as well. A few extra bits and bobs in there that the previous owners left for you, including this silver awning winder as well. In the cupboard below that, I'll just get down here a bit. This cupboard is really important. So this is the actual boiler itself. Okay, so essentially, the reason that this is important is because you've got your boiler drain off points in here. Now, essentially, if you wanted to drain the boiler out of all of its water, you have got a little red valve inside here, which you need to pull up or push down to open or close. So if you want to have the boiler filling up with water, you need to have this valve lifted upright like it is now. I can actually see that they put a little pin through that. So if you wanted to drain it out, you need to pull the little pin out and push the valve down. So as long as that valve is pushed down, all of the water inside this boiler will drain straight out onto the floor, and that's how you would do what you call winterizing the vehicle. Okay, so pushing that valve down will drain the boiler out and winterize it. You've also got, to the right here, you've got a little yellow valve on this red pipe. And essentially what that is like a pipe drain. So if you wanted to drain all the fresh water out of the vehicle, you can lift that little drain up just there, and it'll start pumping out all of the water from the vehicle. Okay, so that is essentially those two draining points just inside there. Nice and easy. So, close that back over. And then I will go to the bathroom. So the bathrooms don't normally take very long because there's not really much to explain about them, to be honest. You've got the shower inside here, which is actually a nice size separate shower. You've got a drain in the bottom there and a hot and cold tap for that. So super easy on that point. You've got your hot and cold tap there for the sink as well. So again, not much to explain with that one. I think we've replaced this tap and the one in the kitchen as well. So you've got a couple of new taps in here. The toilet is normally the only part that I actually explain because the rest of it's just self-explanatory. But the toilet you might not know how to use. So essentially, you've got a blue button just here. When you press on the blue button, as long as your water pump switch is turned on, press that button just there. And as you can see, it starts to pump around the flush fluid. when you've got that flush fluid in the bowl there, you can pull this little handle to the right, and everything from inside that bowl will drain out into the cassette. Okay, so that's how you would use the toilet. Make sure that you pull the handle back so that that flap comes back over, and then close the lid down. And that's it. That is how you would use the toilet. It's, you know, very, very simple stuff. So I just basically double check to make sure that I've not forgotten anything. No. Okay, so I think I've covered everything. I don't think there's much else that I can show. If there is, or if you think there's anything that I've missed out, just give us a shout. Otherwise, we look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks very much.